AITA for having an almanac. A bit of backstory. I met my wife in the summer of 2008. She was working as the ice cream girl at a local restaurant. I had gone to pick up some boxes because I was moving. Out walked my Sarah. It was close to the end of her shift. And working in this particular restaurant was a dirty job to say the least. Seriously. I don't care what DDD says. That place is gross. She was covered in sweat from cleaning the machines. Caked in all the dirt from that nasty little kitchen. Had a grease stain on her cheek. And she was fucking beautiful. Her smile. Her easy laugh. Her obvious intelligence. I'm pretty sure I fell in love right then and there that wonderful May night. INB40 had sesso aldi farshand. Don't care. When you know. You know. I wasted no time in asking her out, and we hit it off immediately. It started after our first date. She had mentioned she loves lilacs. Me, being a 23-year-old guy at the time, didn't know jack or shit about flowers. But the way she talked about how much she loved them, I knew I didn't want to forget that tidbit of information. So I wrote it down in one of those mini spiral notebooks. Think what cops used to take notes. This was the Almanac's genesis. Over the years I've written down information about my wife. Her favorite color. Her favorite restaurants. Her favorite books. Movies she wants to see. Etc. Basically all the little things I knew I would forget. Anything that struck me as worthy of remembering when she told me. I would go through it every once in a while so I could do something sweet for her. Fast forward to yesterday morning. I get a call from her around 11 AM. What the fuck is the Almanac? The Almanac is written on the cover. It's just a silly name that occurred to me a few years ago. She obviously has it. And I don't lie to my wife. So I tell her. She gets really quiet for maybe half a minute and then says I always thought you remembered this stuff. Tells me she has to run and hangs up. I get home from work last night and she's really dejected. I asked her what's wrong and she says the Almanac has cheapened every sweet thing I've ever done for her. She called it my playbook and said she felt betrayed. Mind you, I've never showed it to a single soul, nor have I even told anyone about it. Until yesterday I was the only person in the world to know of its existence. She also said she hasn't decided if I can have it back or not. And that she's thinking about destroying it. I'm kind of heartbroken. I feel like this should be an example of how much I love her. I'm terrified she's going to burn it. I want to remember all these details that make my wife who she is. That's why I write them down. I don't chronicle these things for brownie points or status. I do it because I love my wife. I hear so many wives bitch that their husbands don't remember shit. And I don't want to be that guy. So yeah. I took notes. And now I'm getting the silent treatment. Or at best single word answers. AITA here. NTA. I wish my husband did this. She doesn't know how lucky she is. Edit. Thanks for the gold and the silver. Close bracket. I would cry so much if I found out my boyfriend was doing this. It's so incredibly sweet. Memory isn't perfect. And Op is so sweet for taking the time to make sure he doesn't forget the little things. NTA. The fact that you realize that you are terrible at remembering things. So counter it by making notes. Shows to me that you care. I doubt she would prefer that you didn't write things down and forget. NTA. My husband actually did this for a short time when we started dating. He wrote down things like my birthday and things I said I liked. Because he has a terrible memory and wanted to remember. One day he was on his laptop and I glanced over his shoulder and noticed a file with my name on it. He never let me read it because he was embarrassed. But I thought it was incredibly sweet. NTA. Oh my god. I would be over the moon and feel very flattered if my husband had a notebook like this. Seriously, my same reaction. I would feel so loved if my wife took the time and effort to do this. People need to think of the opposite scenario where he didn't care at all. If he remembered these things and then rarely did anything special for her because he couldn't remember / cared if he did them or not. Now that's an asshole of a husband. NTA. Give her a few days. What is her expectation? That you have to remember everything and can never write anything down? Do you keep a calendar for important events? It's just so crazy to me this would bother her. Writing things down is how we all remember stuff. Right? Imagine a college professor getting upset with you for taking notes on his / her lecture. Writing something down just means you've identified it as being important enough to be worth remembering. NTA. I think you're putting forth extra effort and I think that's wonderful. I can see her point of view and I probably would have shared it when I was younger, but now that I forget things more I think it's a proactive step in making sure you don't hurt her over something trivial. Like saying the wrong flowers are her favorite. I agree with the person who says to try doing things that she likes while the book is taken away to show her that it's not that you don't care to remember. You just truly don't want to forget. NTA. It's super sweet and she's lucky to have you. She's disillusioned because she had a scenario set up in her head that just wasn't real. FWIW. It's your book and means so much to you, and she doesn't get to decide whether it is destroyed. I personally think she would be a monumental ass if she destroyed it out of sheer spite. One day she'll look back on it, maybe once you're gone, and cry over a man who loved her so much that he wanted to remember everything about her and who wanted so much to make her happy. Sit down and talk about why it and her means so much to you. Spot the fuck on. NTA. I don't even understand what's wrong with it. I find it sweet. And not creepy or bad at all. I mean it's not like you've written your anniversary or her parents' name. Right? Lol no. It's things like wants to see Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and loves menudo from unnamed Mexican restaurant. NTA. The fact is, you wrote down those details because you knew they were important to her and you didn't want to forget. It wasn't to cheapen anything. It was you putting in the effort to remember. Even if you write those things down, doesn't compel you to actually take action on it. I understand how your wife might see it, especially because it's titled Almanac. But I'd explain to her that it's because you want to do things for her that you put in the effort to write those things down. NTA. I'd be flattered if my partner did this. It's really sweet. He forgets everything and it infuriates me. This is a lovely solution. NTA. Your wife should understand that you do these things out of love. She's perceived this notebook to be information that is useless to you, and you need to write it down in case you need it. Explain to her that this is not about brownie points, but instead is about making the gifts you give her more personalized. She should understand that no one's brain is big enough to remember every detail about someone. She should just be grateful that you take the time out of your day to make sure you have everything stored, whether that be in your brain or on paper. It shouldn't make a difference where this information is stored, as long as it is used positively. Just for the record, you should retitle this as maybe an encyclopedia. An almanac is a book that can be referenced for forecasting physical phenomena and events. An encyclopedia is for referencing. I know. I'm the asshole. Lol no that's fair. It really was just a silly name that came upon me in my truck one day and I wrote it in there. NTA. I cannot remember our wedding song. The flavor of cake that was served. I often forget our anniversary. And once fucked up by getting her a card that said, "To my loving husband." After 15 years. I cannot remember even half of her extended family's names even though we see them a fair amount. That said, I love her dearly. And our marriage is great. However she does have to put up with moronic shit like // So. Your wife should count her blessings. And once fucked up by getting her a card that said, "To my loving husband." TBH I would laugh my ass off if my fiance got me a card that said that. Especially if it was by accident. My friend's husband accidentally got his wife an anniversary card that was meant for a gay couple. She got a huge kick out of it and carried it around for a while, showing it to everyone. They would both cry with laughter every time they told the story. NTA. You took the time and effort to write down things about her to surprise her in course of your relationship. That's sweet. Imo. And that doesn't mean that you don't remember any of it by heart. How about you go to your wife and start listing a couple of things you wrote down from your memory? That will show her that you didn't completely rely on your almanac. NTA. Like yeah. It shatters the fairy tale that you remember every little detail off the top of your head, but if anything it's even sweeter this way because you made the extra effort to make her happy. NTA. This sounds insanely romantic to me. NTA. She will definitely be if she destroys it. Me and my partner's thing is that he brings me home greeting cards to show me he's thinking about me. I have an entire book of them. Every now and then he goes to the store and buys like 10 and stashes them in his work truck. I found them a few times and quickly closed the console. Your wife's reaction would be like me saying his forethought was somehow cheapening the way it makes me feel to receive them out of the blue. And that's bullshit. It's heaps sweeter that he's even more thoughtful by planning ahead and making sure he's ready to make me feel like $1,000,000. The almanac is amazingly sweet and thoughtful. Seems like she was just surprised. Try asking her how you organically remembering these things is different than you recognizing these things are important, not wanting to forget them, and having the forethought to write them down so you can make her happy. If the answer is anything other than actually the way you do it is way sweeter, then bless her heart. I'd tell myself that sometimes he finds more than one card he likes and wants to get you, so he buys them all at the same time, rather than he buys a bunch to save time. NTA. Oh, I have a fun story for you. My husband kept the same kind of book when we started dating, and I found it once. Initially I was taken aback, but it didn't take much time for me to realize that this was actually very sweet. He has trouble remembering certain details. He doesn't even remember his parents' birthdays. So the fact that he kept notes was a huge sign that he cared. Just talk to her about it. I have a feeling she'll come around. But if she destroys it, then she's hugely tar. Initially I was taken aback. I think more people need to realize this part. Yes, she is overreacting, but we have his side of the story. Op needs to calmly explain his side of the story to her, just as he has done here for us. Clear communication allows both parties to trust each other and get over each other's insecurities. Just got off the phone with my wife. I'll post a full update later, but the gist is that she was feeling a bit let down because she thought I legit remembered these things. It was more of a shock than anything, and she says she wasn't angry, just not sure how to process, and as such she said some things in the moment that were reactionary, like destroying the book and feeling betrayed. She's giving me the book back when we get home, and we are going to have a much more involved, deeper conversation. I would just tell her. But I did remember. This is just how I remember important things. If it wasn't important to me, I'd have not written it down. Just a thought. Good luck either way. If you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more future videos.